Hello, we're going to talk today about Chapter 6, which is Resource Planning Systems. So this is going to be an interesting chapter that's going to talk to you a lot about the new systems that allow a lot of this to be automated. You're going to understand how production strategies can be used to make sure that you're producing at the most economical way possible. You're going to learn about how planning is done and available to promise. And I'm going to make this easy sense for you. So we're going to talk through some operations planning, the APP, the MPS, the BOM, the MRP, and a lot of other acronyms that you're going to learn in this chapter. All right. So resource planning is a process of determining the production capacity required to meet demand. So if you have 400 people standing outside your hair salon and they all want their hair cut, and you have 10 chairs, you know that you can do a certain number of haircuts per day. You know you cannot do 400 people in one day. It's impossible. So that's your production capacity. You can calculate out, I can do 4 per hour per chair times 8 hours. That's 32. I have 10 chairs. So I can, at the max, best case, everything goes right, no one's late, everyone's willing to wait, I can do 320 haircuts a day. That's my production capacity. By the same token, if I look in my kitchen and I say I have 1 oven and I have 2 racks and I need to bake 10 casseroles, I know that I can only put 3 probably in there at one time. So I can do 3. When those are finished, I can take them out. I can put 3 more. So my production capacity there is limited in both of those cases by equipment and space. But my production capacity could be limited because I only can get 10 bags of flour per day. So however many cakes I can bake with that 10 bags of flour, that's it. Even if I finish at 10:30 in the morning, I have the whole rest of the day, my ovens are empty, I got everything, my cake pans are clean, there's no more raw material, I don't have any more flour, that's all I can get. So sometimes your production capacity is limited by materials, sometimes it's limited by labor, and sometimes it's limited by equipment. Just depends on what it is. But capacity means what's the maximum I can do in a given period of time. It might be an hour, it might be a day, it might be a year. The problem is if you miss a due date, if somebody's shipping you something and they're late, let's say my flour that's supposed to be coming doesn't get here and I spend a whole day not doing it, now I can't get that time back. It's gone. So what I do the next time is I say I need 12 bags of flour, even though I really only need 10, because I want to keep those 2 extra that I don't use every day. So the day when they're late or they miss their shipment, I have buffer stock. That makes the bullwhip effect go completely out of control. And that costs a lot of money for everyone because I'm carrying that extra 2 bags of flour and I'm having to pay for them. I'm having to store them. And so I'm charging my customers more for the cake because my costs have gone up. And it just goes on and on and on throughout the entire supply chain. All right, this is a lot of acronyms. I don't want you to be worried. You are going to have these on your test, but they all make sense if you think about it. Long range is the aggregate production plan. It says that in the next year, I'm going to make approximately 4,000 cakes. In the next year, I'm going to cut approximately 15,000 people's hair. I'm going to do approximately 4,000 tax returns for my clients. Whatever it is, if it's a service or a good, it doesn't matter. The intermediate, and you want to remember the long range, the APP, is about a year. The intermediate one, about 6 to 18 months. This helps you plan for equipment. This helps you look at new suppliers. It helps you do that kind of thing. The intermediate plan is about 6 to 18 months, and this is called the Master Production Schedule. Most people call this the MPS. Short range, what am I going to build tomorrow? What am I going to build next week? Is the MRP, the Materials Requirements Plan or Materials Requirements Planning. This is down to, I'm going to build this, I'm going to cook this in this oven at this time with these ingredients. It's very specific. The MRP is very, very granular, very specific because you've got to make sure you have everything you need to do that. The intermediate plan is looking out so you can do some planning. The MPS is doing some planning. Do I need to get a new supplier? Should I buy another machine? Do I need another oven? Should we try to figure out if we can get one more sink so we can wash people's hair more quickly in our salon? Do I need another desk or another computer so that I can have a report running while I'm filing these tax returns? It's all those kinds of things. You don't need to know that. All right, so the materials requirements plan is done by a system that is called the MRP system, and it's kind of confusing, but don't worry. The MRP system is figuring out, based on time, what do I need and when do I need it. So let's go back to our lunch example. If I put a tablespoon of peanut butter, a tablespoon of jelly, and 2 pieces of bread in a baggie into a lunch bag, that is not a lunch for my child, right? That's not going to get it. I need to take the peanut butter and the jelly and put it on the bread, make the sandwich, put the sandwich in the baggie, close the baggie. Now, that is now part of the lunch, but it's not our whole lunch. I need a bag to put it in. I probably want some fruit. I want some chips, maybe a couple of cookies in another baggie. All that is the finished product. What the materials requirements plan does is it figures out I need 5 lunches, and every lunch has 2 baggies, so I need 10 baggies. Every lunch has 2 pieces of bread. I need 10 pieces of bread. I should have said 10 baggies. I need 10 pieces of bread. I need 5 times 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. All that. And when do I need it? I don't want to order 4 loaves of bread on the first of the month, because by the time the 3rd week comes along, that bread is stale and moldy and gross, right? But if I could freeze it and I can get a good deal on it, maybe I should do that. So this is giving you the insight into what you need and when you need it. Time phased is very important when you're talking about MRP. ERP is what most people use now, is the system that runs the entire business and figures all that out. What to plan, what to schedule, when to schedule it. And then DRP, I don't think I put DRP on your test, but DRP is what do I need from the warehouse and from the distribution center. So I'm going to talk to you about hierarchical planning. I'm not going to do it on this slide because this slide doesn't have good explanation, but I want to talk to you about how we're going to plan. So Chase strategy says, I'm going to expand the amount of production capacity I have to match my demand. This is generally for people who do things that are make to order. So make to order means I'm going to make something custom. I'm going to build a computer with the exact hard drive, the exact accelerator card for video that you want, everything. I'm going to hire more workers when I'm busy, and I'm going to lay people off when I'm not busy, because the people that I need are generally highly skilled labor. The problem is, if you have that highly skilled labor in a tight labor market, it can be hard to get people when you need them. But if you think about the Chase strategy, the way to remember this, it is on your test, Chase is capacity chases demand. I look at how many I need to make, and I adjust my capacity accordingly. The level strategy says, I'm going to make the same amount no matter what. If I'm selling 5 this week and 25 the next week, it doesn't matter. I'm going to make 15 every week. And on the short weeks, I'm making extra. But then on the week when I need 25, I have some buffer stock because I made it and I didn't sell it. This is for make to stock firms. So if you are just going to make it and stick it in a warehouse until somebody orders it, I'm going to make it all year round. I'm going to make the same amount. It's level. I'm going to make the same amount all the time. So I'm going to make 5 sandwiches every week, even if my kid decides to buy lunch 2 days, because the next week she's going to need a sandwich for volleyball practice and she's going to need a sandwich for softball practice, and so she'll use those sandwiches, so it's okay. They won't be extra. I hope that makes sense. All right, the mixed production strategy basically uses a little bit of each. The MPS, I told you, is the detailed schedule that says, when do I need to do it? It's longer than how long it takes to make the item. So if I know that it takes me 5 minutes to make a peanut butter sandwich, but I need to go to the store, which takes me about an hour, I can't decide 30 minutes before it's time for her to have her lunch that I need to go to the grocery store and get everything. That's called lead time. Lead time is how long does it take from the time you decide you need something until it actually comes. So I have to make sure that I've ordered it before the amount of time it's going to take to get it. System nervousness is on your test. It basically means if we make a small change in what we're going to produce, it can make major changes in what we have to do to make that happen. You don't need to know firm segment or tentative segment. It's not really used that much, and a software is going to do that for you. Okay, available to promise. I want to explain this to you with something else that you would understand. When iPhones go new. We have a new iPhone. The store might have 150 of them in the store, but maybe 25 of them have already been reserved because people came in before they were available and they got some promotion or they paid early or whatever. So even though they have 150 physically in their store, they can really only sell 125 of them because 25 of them have already been spoken for. That quantity of 125 is called the ATP, available to promise. And what it means is I have them, but I've already spoken for them. They've already been allocated to a different order. So I gave you a couple of questions on your test about this. So let's talk through this number 1, 2, and 3 at the bottom. Discrete available to promise means how many do I have to promise? 125 in that example. However, if I have 150 in my store and 25 are already spoken for, then my discrete available to promise is 125. But my cumulative available to promise could be that I know that I'm going to get some toward the end of the week. So without a look ahead, my cumulative available promise is I'm making 5 every day. I'm getting 5 more every day. So that would make it 130. Cumulative available to promise with a look ahead means how many am I making? How many orders do I have for the ones I'm making? If I'm getting 5 more tomorrow, but I have another order of 10 that's coming that I need to fulfill, it's 125 plus the 5 I'm going to get, but 10 more are promised tomorrow. So really I have less at 115 or 120 rather than how many I think I have, because a look ahead is I've already committed to ship those out to someone else. So you can read more about this in your book, but these are the very common ways of calculating ATP. There's more information right here. You can read all of it. Okay, you're going to hear this word a lot, and I want you to make sure you know how to say it. Some people say BOM. Most people say bomb. Bomb like, but not bomb. Bill of materials. A bill of materials for that lunch that I gave you an example of would be the large bag on the outside, quantity 1. That's the top level. That's the finished thing. Inside of that would be the baggie. Inside of the baggie is the 2 pieces of bread, the peanut butter, and the jelly. Equal to that baggie is a bag of chips and an apple and another baggie with 2 cookies in it. So that whole thing is the bill of materials. That's what it takes to make one sandwich. If we wanted to expand it to the equipment, we would say, and we need a knife and so the things that it takes to make the sandwich. So dependent demand, I'm going to show you on the next screen, but dependent demand is for things that the only reason you need it is because you're buying the final product. I cannot eat a baggie for lunch, but I have to have it. But I would not order a baggie if I was not going to make the lunch. That's dependent demand. It's dependent on the lunch. It's dependent on the higher item in the bill of materials. Independent demand is demand that's going to happen that doesn't matter. I might still want that cookie to eat, just to have one cookie as a quick snack, and I wouldn't need to put it in a baggie, and I would just want a cookie just to have a cookie. So I'm going to show you how this works. At the very top of this thing that looks sort of like an organization chart, you see that there's an all-terrain vehicle. So you know what that is. That's one of those little things that you can ride around on with the big tires that you can ride around on in the fields and stuff like that, and it's like a motorcycle sort of, but wider. All right, so we have an engine assembly. Under that engine assembly on the left-hand side, you'll see there's an engine block, and then there's a piston assembly. Under the piston assembly, there's more connecting rods and piston rings and all that. This is probably a little complicated, but think back now. Pretend where it says all-terrain vehicle, that's completed lunch. Where it says engine assembly, that's baggie with 2 cookies inside of it. Where it says piston assembly, that is baggie with 2 pieces of bread, bread quantity 2, peanut butter quantity 1, all that. That's how this works. And if you look on the right hand side, you can see level 0 is the main finished part. The further you get down, so now we're down to like the peanut butter, you're talking about level 3, level 4. A software package is going to figure this demand out for you. You're never going to have to compute this manually. This is all going to be done by an ERP system. All right, so planned order releases says you can put 2 cookies in a baggie on Sunday night times 5. You can make all the cookies, 2 cookies into 5 different baggies and stick them in the pantry, and they're fine. And we will have a planned order release. We'll pull one of those out and stick them in the lunch every week. Because it's not going to go bad. It's perfectly fine. We know we're going to need it this week. You can go ahead and do it. So the advantage of MRP is that it gives you the information that you need for how much to make and how much to plan for the whole planning horizon. The disadvantage is that if you have a really deep bill of materials, so like this one, now we're down to the very bottom down here where it says level 6, the 24-inch solid steel bar. That's a long way from the ATV at the very top. If you have a very deep bill of materials, sometimes materials you can order too many or not have enough. You've got to have a very disciplined person looking at it from a planning standpoint to make sure that as changes to the number of ATVs that you need happen, you don't end up buying too few or too many of the lowest level parts. Okay, the parent part, you don't need to know closed loop MRP, but the parent part in that situation, let me show you, like a parent part here, toward the bottom on the left, the piston subassembly is the parent part of piston rings, piston, 6-inch steel bar, and 24 solid steel bar. Or the piston assembly is the parent part of the subassembly and the connecting rods. So if it's one above it, that's the parent. The part below it is referred to as the child. And a scheduled receipt just means if I know on Wednesday night that I've ordered groceries and I'm getting a new package of cookies, I shouldn't be worried if I'm out on Monday because I know on Wednesday I'm getting more. And I have enough for Tuesday because I made 5 during Sunday night when I planned. I did not give you any of these. Okay, so explosion of an MRP of a bill of materials basically says instead of just showing I need 10 ATVs, I'm going to show all the stuff that's under it. So if you think about that organization chart kind of exploding down, that's what that means. That's the only thing I gave. And safety stock. Safety stock says it's to protect you against uncertainty. If I say I'm going to keep 2 spare apples in the refrigerator because they don't really go bad, and then if we accidentally run out of grapes and cherries, I have apples because they're there. And it could be that I could have a spare loaf of bread in the freezer. It could be the same thing, or it could be an alternate part. It doesn't matter, but it protects against uncertainties in case supply or quality or lead time is. Imagine if I went to make the first lunch and I opened up the bag of bread and it was moldy and I didn't know. I just got it from the store, but it was bad. Or it got squished by a gallon of milk when I was bringing my groceries in. If I have safety stock, I would have a loaf of bread in the freezer that I could thaw and that would work. So the quality would be bad. It wasn't lead time, it wasn't supply, just the quality got damaged. All right, you don't need to know this. All right, so we already talked about at the beginning, capacity refers to how much labor and machine resources you have. Resource requirement planning says the machine can only make 10,000 of these per day, so I can't have a schedule that says I need 12,000 of these per day because the machine only can make 10,000 a day. The rough cut capacity plan is used to figure out if I do, just at a high level, can I make 400 sandwiches in my kitchen? No. So my RCCP would tell me, you got a problem. You need to figure out a different way. But the reason that you use it is to see if I just do what the system says, do I have enough machine capacity and enough people capacity to do it? And then once you decide that yes or no, then you can make an actual production plan. I didn't put this on your test. Yeah, I didn't put anything else on your test. All right, so that's the end of chapter 5. We're going to look at chapter 6. Or no, that's the end of chapter 6. And we will now stop and get ready for the first test.